Coffee isn't healthy, therefore this doesn't make any sense. However, a year later, I had an injury. As you can see on the left-hand side, that was a pretty gruesome injury. A metal spike went halfway through my arm. To say it was painful was probably a bit of an understatement. But it was also quite worrying because I was concerned. I was a boxer, a kickboxer at the time, played a guitar, which I still do. I was worried about whether I would do any of the things that I love to do in life again. So along comes back into my mind this special mushroom. And I thought to myself, oh, hold on, somebody spoke to me about a healing medicinal mushroom. Maybe I should give him a quick call. And so that person thought enough of me to share this idea with me. And because of that, as a consequence, there are hundreds of people around the world who are doing much better with their health. Many of them are doing better and have a side business in a time when that's a good thing, for sure. And also, my result 3.5 weeks later is on the right hand side. So, no pain, no inflammation, no discoloration. I was back holding pads and kickboxing. And what was strange was I had no more psoriasis. Now, I was not prepared for that. And it wasn't something that I had expected. So, it was like an extra bonus. But I thought to myself, not a lot of people have a hole in their arm. Well, quite a lot of people do have ailments of various types that they have labeled themselves with. In other words, they've taken what's been told to them, they've accepted that it's always going to be the case, and they've now taken it on as a label. So we do this with a lot of different things, but when it comes to pharmaceutical medication, which is designed for shortest duration, lowest dose, but in fact is given for, come back in 6 months type scenario, that wasn't a direction I wanted to go. So this is the only option to me. And at the time, I was out of desperation. It was not out of inspiration. Now I'm inspired. As you can see here, I'm all about mushrooms at this point. And so the world has changed for me. And also over the last couple of years, particularly last year when the world went sideways, my business is booming. And, I've been able to help other people now heal, whether it's their clients or, people that they care about with this medicinal mushroom, because it's, housed inside something that people do every day, which even though it's 6 p.m. where I am, I'm still doing right now. All right. So that's me. And who I would like to introduce you to is Dr. Bob Rakowski. Now, while I might have a practical experience of health in terms of the daily habits that I have, here we're looking at the details. Someone who's been at the top of their industry for 3 decades, functional nutritionist, chiropractor, kinesiologist, worked with some of the top athletes in the world, and also some people that, are in a pretty bad way, who conventional medicine will talk about in this picture on the right hand side, maybe amputating that foot, but now we got back function and all those sorts of stuff, and also a globally known speaker. So when Dr. Bob shares with you what we have in terms of detox, he's going to go down the rabbit hole and he's going to use chemistry to address chemistry. Okay. So I'm going to pass it across to you, Dr. Bob. And also it's worth mentioning, Dr. Bob is an incredibly talented individual when it comes to empowering other people, to bringing out the best in other people. And, he's been very successful in this business as well as a number of other businesses, and is hugely passionate, has a big heart for helping people with their health, but now subsequently with their businesses as well. And so I'm very grateful that in this environment, Dr. Bob is going to work for me and for all of you. So I hope you are taking notes, and I hope you get back to whoever invited you onto this call to, first of all, thank them, but then ask them, how can this become part of my life? So, Dr. Bob, if you want to take it away there.
I will. So thank you. Beautiful introduction. My passion is health and human performance. And like you said, I've got about 3 decades working with every type of patient that you can work with and teaching doctors all over the world. So it's a pretty interesting background there. But what I'm going to talk about is some of the science, right? We're gonna look and see where we can actually make a huge difference in people's lives with a fairly simple change. So we have coffee and tea that's actually infused with the mushroom Ganoderma lucidum, also known as reishi, also known as ling chi. When I teach doctors, this is really what we use as references. PubMed.gov, this is the National Library of Medicine, National Institutes of Health database, articles written by doctors for doctors. And I did this search just the other day, 1,893 studies, but look at how the studies have gone up, over the last decade and a half. The world seems very, very interested in this mushroom. And by the way, it's just US alone, a $2.5 billion a year market. Notice, by the way, that the first article that came up in that search talked about it as an anti-cancer agent, which is very powerful there. But today we're going to talk about toxins, the effects of toxins, and again, really good strategies that we can protect ourselves and eliminate the toxins. But the World Health Organization says that toxins are responsible for 25% of all illness and death on the planet. Here's a PubMed reference that basically says that Ganoderma helps to clear persistent organic pollutants. That's a very important word. Persistent meaning they don't naturally break down. They literally can exist in the environment for hundreds of years, but Ganoderma can break down a 100-year toxin in a matter of days. And I like to show this picture of the swimming pool because our body has 100 trillion cells. The major component of cells is water. And if you don't change your water, if you don't clean your swimming pool, you have a problem. And Ganoderma essentially helps to clear those trillions of swimming pools every single day. 4 very extreme cases. We'll start in the top left. There's a synthetic heroin called MPTP, and it was developed in the 1980s. And sadly, a group of drug abusers infused this synthetic heroin, and they all woke up the next day with Parkinson's. Well, the doctors were actually pretty smart. They said, wow, you've got something that can induce Parkinson's in a single day, in a single dose? Well, now we can study it in the animal model. Well, it took them over 35 years to find that when they gave MPTP with Ganoderma, the animals did not get Parkinson's. Carbon tetrachloride is used to induce liver failure, and it does that very, very consistently. But when they give Ganoderma with it, they don't have liver failure. STZ is a type of chemotherapy that used to be used for pancreatic cancer until they realized that it destroyed the cells of the pancreas that produced insulin. It would cause type 1 diabetes. When they would give Ganoderma with it, they preserved the pancreas. And then these are horrific pictures of neural tube defects. Fortunately, it was a mouse study, but we don't even want a mouse with a neural tube defect. But this is a toxin that when they expose it in a single dose, nearly 80% of the animals are either born with a herniated brain, with no brain, those are born dead or born paralyzed. But when they give that dose and Ganoderma, the rate of neural tube defect drops from about 80% to 20% in a single dose. Not only is it good for the toxins, but it's also good for the organs of detoxification. So this is a very comprehensive article on the liver. And notice that it's good for liver cancer, non-alcoholic liver, alcoholic liver, hepatitis B, inflammation of the liver, which by the way is called hepatitis, fibrosis, and even toxin-induced liver injury. So all of these factors are helped by Ganoderma. When we start looking at the kidneys, another organ of detoxification, you look at the symptoms of kidney issues, and there's a lot of things there, including the fatigue, which is a toxic sign. Ammonia smelling breath is toxic sign. But we also find that when people don't have a good kidney function, they have a problem making vitamin D, which, by the way, at least in our early years of life, we make more vitamin D generally than we take. But here are some Ganoderma and vitamin D studies. The kidneys were previously thought of as like a coffee filter. And when that filter was damaged, too bad, people would always spill protein in the urine. But what we found out is that Ganoderma actually helps to repair and patch up the kidneys such that they don't spill protein in the urine. Ganoderma prevents the diabetic kidney complications of diabetes. It also protects the kidneys from very harsh chemotherapy called cisplatin. When we go to the lungs, those are an organ of detox as well. So I start out with this reference on lung cancer. Ganoderma is proven against at least 16 types of cancer, but it is better at opening airways than even prescription inhalers. And a couple of fun cases, this woman was highly allergic to bee stings. She was stung in the face 5 times, and she happened to walk into Justin Wobin's office, and he remembered me talking about Ganoderma and airways, and he said, look, do you drink coffee? She said, no. How about tea? No. How about hot chocolate? She said, I love hot chocolate. He gave her a hot chocolate, and within minutes, she was breathing better, which of course is very important when you're having a near anaphylactic reaction. And another fun story like that, this is Fire Captain Brian Figuera. He's a national hero in Canada, a decorated hero. And when he gets on an airplane, he's always of service. So he basically said to the, flight attendants, look, I've got emergency medical treatment, I've got, or experience, I've got emergency airport experience. If you need any help, call on me. Well, about 2 o'clock in the morning, there he is with his beautiful wife, Francesca. The flight attendant taps him, says, look, we've got a person on the plane who's having allergic reaction. Their airways are closing. She forgot her EpiPen. Do you have anything to offer? He literally mixed up a little bit of King of Coffee so that she could chug it, right? Just in warm water. And again, within minutes, she was breathing more effectively. So they prevented an emergency landing of a 747. The skin is one of the largest organs of detoxification. And then here we show before and after, right? This woman had this skin condition for her entire adult life. That was the difference after consuming Ganoderma for coffee for 6 months, a different skin condition. This guy improved with Ganoderma coffee and soap. And sometimes people say, Bob, that doesn't even look like the same guy. Well, I want you to look at the neckline, and you can see that there was still some pigment that needed to come back. And I guess if you look closely on the forehead, you see that that hadn't come back completely yet either. But how powerful is that? And then we don't name conditions because guess what? We have regulating bodies that don't want to make a health claim on anything but a drug. And that's interesting because no drugs are healthy. But this was the difference in this little girl's leg in 6 days with a cup of hot chocolate every single day. Finally, I know Sir Lloyd is a huge fan of alkalizing, and these are the medical benefits of an alkaline diet. But notice in terms of our topic, alkaline diet or alkalinity improves toxin excretion. And we know that coffee itself has more than 30 different acids. There's a reason I'm taking that tangent, because we have a patented process by which we pre-brew the coffee and dramatically reduce the acid. We also add in Ganoderma, which is the most alkaline food on the planet. But here we see that, people that have problems with regular coffee because of the acidity, most of them, and I don't mean 51%, I mean over 90% can instantly switch to our coffee without having an acid problem. And quite simply, Ganoderma is widely held to be the most alkaline food in the planet. So before I go on to the next slide, Lloyd, I'd like to take a pause and see if anybody has any questions. So we might see if anything came up in the chat, or I don't know if you're monitoring the Facebook, but if not, then we will basically get back to that.
Yeah, I didn't think to monitor the Facebook actually, although that's a good point. Well, I don't have any questions. I don't see any questions in the chat. So for those of you guys who are watching up until this point, here's what I suggest. Based on what you've seen so far, it's pretty clear that if you want to detox the cells and therefore create a better environment for your body and everything, all the functions of it to be healthy, Ganoderma is a bit of a no-brainer. With that being said, like Dr. Bob mentioned, most people don't have a habit of taking supplements, myself included. And so although I do take them, I don't remember to take them at the same time every day. I don't remember to always take them. Sometimes they roll under the bed. I can't find them. So it's very difficult to lose the kettle. And I quite enjoy drinking coffee and tea. So I drink it multiple times a day. And so your program is only as good as your compliance. And so what I would suggest is that you do yourself a favor and get some coffee, tea, or shakes or whatever from whoever invited you into the Facebook group or whoever invited you onto this call here, and have an experience yourself. What we're going to do now is we're going to segue into how this could help not just your life account, but also potentially your bank account. So ultimately, prior to 2020, for most of us in the world, March 2020, the world looked very different. People commuted to work every day. They worked in offices. There was coffee provided, number one, typically. Um, there were, everything was very different. Nowadays, a lot of people lost their job. Entire industries have disappeared. There are other industries replacing them, but of course, people need to relearn and unlearn some of what they thought would be effective, but it's a changed world now. So what we've noticed is that for all of us, our business growth has gone way up in the last 3 quarters of 2020. Why? Because everybody is looking for how can I create some form of income from home? Because I'm at home. In some cases, I'm living on government support and that type of thing. And so that's what people are dealing with right now. So the question they're asking themselves is, how can I add an additional income? Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is not really necessarily about, hey, stop everything that you're doing in your life and now go and do this. Instead, what it is it's an opportunity for you to add something alongside what you're already doing by sharing what you're already passionate about. So for me, I'm passionate about mushrooms. I'm passionate about this product, and I'm also passionate about the way I feel and how I get to help other people. And so for that reason, it makes sense for me to add it alongside what I do anyway. And it may be the same for you. So we're going to go through that. Dr. Bob's going to put some shape on that. And, if this part makes sense to you, again, get back to the same person who invited you either onto this call or into the Facebook group and ask them, hey, how can I get started? How would that work with my life? Could this be an option for me? So Dr. Bob, I'm going to throw it back to yourself there. If you want to take us into this section.
I like to make this point because any program is only as good as the compliance. And these athletes were all profoundly compliant with every program that I put together for them while they were in their season, while they were going towards a championship, while they were in their career. But guess what? They all basically stopped in the off season or when their career was older. So when you start looking at coffee and tea, people consume it every single day. And if you said, hey, what would you rather do? Have a delicious cup of coffee or a handful of pills? And by the way, Ganoderma has all the fabulous 50, all the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, proteins, carbohydrates, fat, fiber, and water, and at a dose that makes a difference to human health. Also has 430 unique molecules, 79 of which are antimicrobial. And because of all those molecules, that's why we have nearly 1,900 medical studies. When people make a food decision, this is the same all over the world. But first of all, it has to taste good. It has to be convenient. It has to be affordable. And then their fourth choice is actually healthy. And then again, let's look at this. Is this tasty? No. Is it convenient to open up all those pills? No. Is it cost effective? No, it actually costs our country and our world a fortune. Is it healthy? No, it's actually counter to healthy. And what if we could get a healthy coffee, tea, shake, or hot chocolate that could take the place of a lot of things that people are doing? Jim Rohn is actually the guy that launched Tony Robbins, and very fun picture there. But Jim Rohn was a college dropout in the 1960s. And one day he just had enough. He was sick of not paying his bills. He adopted a mentor, and his mentor taught him how to get rich in the business model of network marketing. Jim was selling vitamins in the 1960s and became a multimillionaire. But literally, Jim would, get dressed nice, work on his smile and his handshake, and he'd start a conversation with people. And ultimately, it would lead to this question: have you found the opportunity that will take care of you and your family for the rest of your life? Well, most people would look very confused, at which point he'd pull out a very nice business card. He'd hand it to them and say, I'm partnered with multiple multimillionaires. If you want to learn what they're teaching me, come join us. And so then basically they would hear an opportunity presentation like we're about to share. So what if turbocharged gourmet coffee helped you to take your better brain, body, and beautiful skin to wonderful places and enjoy deliciousness? We didn't go over the brain medical studies, but there's over 50 medical studies on the brain, and it's very powerful at how much Ganoderma helps the brain chemistry, helps the brain circulation, and even induces brain stem cells. And then what if we threw in the qualifier that you could ultimately do it with whoever you wanted, whenever you wanted? Well, that's what this business ultimately offers. Stephen Covey says, if you want small improvements in your life, change your behavior. If you want massive improvements, change your paradigm. And this is a paradigm shifting documentary. It's called Rise of the Entrepreneur. Basically, they interview over 25 multi-millionaires and billionaires, business experts, economic experts, and they talk about network marketing being the absolute lowest risk, highest reward business option available. Essentially, you partner with a very successful company. So the company's already gone through it. Our company's Organo. They've been in business for over 12 years. They crossed $1 billion in sales faster than Facebook and Starbucks and Microsoft and Apple. And they did it without a storefront or a dollar spent on advertising because they have great products and they essentially pay people to create a business with word of mouth referral. So this is like affiliate marketing with more depth. If you've ever been affiliate, you know that basically you can put something on your website or promote a product and you get paid a commission. But what about the people that you bring into the company? What if they become raving fans? And what if they create raving fans and they create raving fans? Well, affiliate marketing pays one debt, one level deep. Organo pays 9 levels deep. I love this story because Dr. Steve Hurschuk is about as busy as any human ever was. And then he was introduced to network marketing while he was an anesthesiologist. And in his book, he says, I was making a really good living, but I did not have a really good life. He says, I was working 60 hours a week on the average. 1 week a month, I was on call 24/7. And he said, I realized I didn't want to spend the rest of my life like that. So from the doctor's lounge, between cases, he would literally call people and say, listen, I've got something I want you to take a look at. It'll take you about 15 minutes. I'll send you a video link. When can you watch it? When can I follow up with you? Just that simple. And this could be a similar video link. He'd call him back. He'd say, hey, what'd you like most? And often he'd get them started on the products and introduce them to the business. And within 6 years, he completely replaced his anesthesiology income, retired, and decided to travel the world with his family. Well, there's no better product than for royalty income than coffee. Here in North America, the average coffee drinker drinks 3.3 cups a day. They do that 365 days a year. That's over 1,200 cups a year. So the subtitle of that book was Do the Work Once, Get Paid More Than Once. How about getting paid more than 1,200 times a year? That is a pretty good return on effort. So 4,000 years ago, Ganoderma was reserved for the royal family. We mentioned the medical studies, and here we show that it's, not just what we talked about in terms of detox, but it's really good for the brain, really good for the heart, really good for the lungs, really good for the liver, really good for the kidneys, really good for the immune system, lymphatic, testosterone, etc. And the world desperately is looking for better health now. It's also proven safe and effective for pregnant women. And by the way, pregnant women should consume it. So you look at our product and competitive advantage, we are wonderfully delicious. 1 cup tells that. We're more affordable than Starbucks or McCafe or Dunkin' Donuts. Super convenient. I tell the story, I used to wake up, I was such a coffee fiend. I'd wake up, I'd brush my teeth, I'd drive 10 minutes one way to Starbucks. I'd usually wait in line 10 minutes behind a bunch of crabby people. I'd pay $5 for a coffee, then I'd drive 10 minutes back home. Now I have hot water on demand. I open a pre-brewed sachet and I have a coffee in a matter of seconds, and I never need to leave my home. I want to refill. It's right there as well. This is all the quality certifications the company has, which is unmatched in the nutrition industry. And we're currently in 36 countries and opening at least 3 more this year. So it costs $49.95 to get an Organo wholesale account. That puts you in business in 36 countries. It also allows you to start building a team. And for that $49.95, you get a world-class website that is ever evolving. You get a merchant account. You know, here in my clinic, I have a credit card processing company. They charge me $30 a month, whether I make any charge at all. And then they charge me a percentage of every charge. Organo doesn't do that at all. So picture, you know, if it was a number like 3%, our team does over $500,000 a month in volume. That would be over $15,000 a month in credit card charges. Again, we don't pay any of those charges. They have customer service built in. They have shipping, and then mentorship from successful people is built in as well. I think it's easy to see that all of that is easily worth $49.95. Then you're going to want to purchase initial inventory, and you have a choice of coffee, tea, hot chocolate, shakes. They have a brain line. NeuroTracker is the name of the brain company that they're partnering with. Over 53 published studies over 20 years. And what they know is you can create a better brain in 90 minutes. And with Organo, a much better brain in 90 minutes. Skincare so clean that you could eat it, and then partnerships with over 100,000 resort locations around the world. If you want to maximize your earnings, accelerator packs are available literally for any of these varieties. We call them good, better, or best, bronze, silver, or gold. If you invest in a gold pack, you actually get paid at the same rate as Sir Lloyd and I do, which is, you know, the best way to maximize your profitability. I always like Eric Golden. This guy's an Amway diamond. Amway was the original network marketing company. They've been around over 70 years. By the way, our owner, very successful in network marketing and with network marketing companies. He basically says in the next decade, we will surpass Amway as the giant in the industry. But Eric Golden says people want to know, can you do this? Well, can you share a cup of coffee or tea? Can you refer to a Zoom? Can you put people on a 3-way call to follow up answers? If you can do it. Is it worth it? Well, this part-time effort for my wife and I has literally paid millions in the last less than 9 years. We're at 105 months in the business. Next question, where will you find the time? Well, think of Steve Herschuk, right? 60 hours a week, but calling people between cases, all those things are possible. But I like a couple simple stories. This is little Dakota Miller. It's really not her. It's a picture representing her. You know, she lives down the street from us. Her family is part of our team. She stuck a fork in the microwave, and her parents wanted to teach her responsibilities. So they said, you know, Dakota, you broke it, you fix it. And she said, how am I going to fix the microwave? I'm 6 years old. They said, go door to door and sell hot chocolate. So she had a real cute story, right? She'd knock on the door. She'd say, hi, I'm Dakota Miller. I stuck a fork in my parents' microwave, and now I have to earn money to fix it. Would you like to buy a delicious box of hot chocolate and help me out? In 2 hours of knocking on doors, she earned over $200 at age 6. Myself, I put a water boiler and coffee samples in the waiting area. I'm pretty busy, so I didn't even have time to talk to the patients. Patients would come in. My staff would offer them a cup of coffee or tea. And by the way, we would ask them how they like it, right? So I always like to ask people, do you like it strong, mild, or in between? If they like it strong, I'll ask them, do you like it espresso strong? And you'd be surprised how many people drink espresso strong coffee. In fact, it's the #1 coffee sold in the world. So we just use very little water with our pre-brewed coffee, and we make it espresso strong. And then the staff would ask them, how do you like that? And they would usually say, wow, it's really good. Their comment was, it's really good for you too. You should get a box. So literally our first month, we earned over $1,000 in coffee and tea sales. By the next month, $2,000, then 3, then 4, then 5. We have some people that have, you know, busy businesses with coffee and tea in the waiting area that are bringing in an extra $10,000 a month with a better choice. And then Emily Morrow is a great story. She's been in the business 2 years. She makes an Instagram post every single day, an Instagram story. She talks about how much she loves her coffee. She signed up over 475 business partners and has a multi-million-dollar business in just a few years. So let's go back to this question. Would you like to take your better brain, body, and beautiful skin to wonderful places and enjoy deliciousness, ultimately with whomever you want and whenever you want? A lot of people felt like this in 2020. This is quite a task, but if you join a team and build a team, the task becomes much easier. Jim Rohn, when he would wrap up a meeting like this, he would wrap it up with 4 questions, and here they are. The first question is why? Why did you take the time to be on this Zoom? Second question is the answer to the first. Why not? Why not learn about something that has a 4,000-year history of human benefit with no risk to it? Third question is why not you? Someone's going to say, this makes sense. I'm going to get healthier. And some are going to say, I'm going to get healthier and I'm going to get wealthier. And then here's the final question. Why not now? So the longer you wait to act on information, the least likely you are to act on it. So your action item is to get back with whoever referred you to this Zoom or Facebook Live and say, you know what, this makes sense. I want to be a part of this. So Lloyd, I'm going to stop.